Welcome to the Essential Skills for Humaning podcast, where we explore the fundamental abilities and insights that make us better humans. Here's your host, Christina Eanes.
Hey there, Lori Muhlstein here. I'm an instructor and speaker for Eanes Training and your guest host for today's episode of Essential Skills for Humaning. Today, I want to talk about a moment we've all faced. I want you to close your eyes and imagine this with me. You're in a big meeting. You could be with your team, with senior leadership, maybe even a client. The conversation is flowing and you're keeping up, and that without warning, the spotlight lands directly on you, and the executive at the head of the table turns and says, "What do you think about that?" And just like that, boom, your brain, which was working perfectly just a second ago, feels like it hit the blue screen of death. You have the doe in the headlights look. Your palms get a little sweaty. Your heart starts beating a little faster. You can feel a dozen pair of eyes on you waiting. You open up your mouth and you say something, and immediately you wish you could hit the rewind button and try again. You can open your eyes now. Sound familiar? That feeling is the physiological response to pressure. It's our brain's ancient fight or flight system kicking in, flooding us with adrenaline and cortisol. Now, it's a great system if we need to run from a tiger, but it's really terrible when we need to access complex thoughts and articulate them clearly. Here's the truth. Speaking effectively under pressure is a skill, not a magical talent you're born with. It's not a fixed personality trait. It's not something where I can wave a magic wand and by the end of the podcast, you'll feel totally confident in doing it. It is a practical, learnable skill. And just like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. And that's what I want you to walk away with. Those moments when we're asked to think on our feet matter. They shape how people perceive us. They shape how they perceive our competence. They influence critical decisions. And they build or break our credibility. So how do we train for that? How do we become the kind of communicator who stays cool, clear, and confident, even when caught off guard? We're going to walk through a few powerful strategies that can help. And our first strategy is embrace the power of the pause. It's one of my favorites. It sounds really simple, but it is the absolute foundation of composure. When we're put on the spot, our first instinct is to rush to fill in the silence. We are uncomfortable with silence. We feel that if we don't start talking immediately, we'll look unprepared or unintelligent. But the exact opposite is true. A frantic, rambling answer looks far less confident than a thoughtful, measured one. This pause is your secret weapon. It's where composure lives. It gives our logical brain a precious second or two to catch up with our initial emotional reaction. So the next time you take a tough question, instead of just immediately launching into an answer, take a breath, a pause, use a transition phrase to buy yourself a moment. Things like, "That's a great question. Give me a second to think it through." Or, "I want to make sure I answer that clearly. Give me a moment." Or even simply repeating the core of the question back. Great strategy of paraphrasing. "So you're asking me how we can handle the client issue? Did I get that right?" It kind of gets our brain to calm down, and it shows the person who asked the question that we really want to give a thoughtful, measured response. It doesn't look to the listener that you're unprepared. It really looks like you're thoughtful, you're deliberate, and you are taking their question seriously. For you, it's a critical moment to calm your nervous system, take a centering breath, and then decide what you're going to say. The pause signals confidence, even when you don't feel it. Our second strategy is use a go-to framework. And this is what I mean by that. When you're under pressure, you don't have time to build a perfect argument from scratch. You need a mental model, a simple structure to organize your thoughts. The framework is your safety net. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of frameworks that you can use. But here's one of my favorites. It's called Point, Reason, Example. It's simple, clear, and effective. So let's take an example. Someone asks, how can we handle this client issue? And then you can structure your thoughts instantly after you've taken that wonderful pause. And your point will be, I think we should follow up with a personal phone call. That's your point. Your reason, because it will build the personal trust that gets lost over email. And then your example. We did something similar with the Apex project last year, and it completely turned that client relationship around. So this is how it would sound like putting that all together. I think we should follow up with a personal phone call because it will rebuild the personal trust that gets lost over email. We did something similar with the Apex project last year, and it completely turned that client relationship around. Simple, clear, concise, and confident. I'm going to add another one to your toolkit. This one's called PREP, capital P, capital R, capital E, capital P. And it stands for Point, Reason, Example, Point. You essentially restate your main point at the end to make it more memorable. So let's try it. Someone asks, why do you think we should invest in this new software? Again, you take that precious breath, that precious pause, and then you say, point. I believe we should invest in this software because it will dramatically increase our team's efficiency. The reason? Right now, our team spends about 5 hours a week per person on manual data entry, which this software automates. Your example. I spoke with a company in our industry that implemented it last quarter, and they reported a 15% reduction in administrative time. Your point, restate it. That's why I'm confident it's the right move to boost our efficiency. So let's put that one together so you see how it flows. I believe we should invest in this software because it will dramatically increase our team's efficiency. Right now, our team spends about 5 hours a week per person on manual data entry, which the software automates. I spoke with a company in our industry that implemented it last quarter, and they reported a 15% reduction in administrative time. That's why I'm confident it's the right move to boost our efficiency. Having a few simple frameworks like this in your mind is like having a mental muscle memory. When the pressure hits, you don't have to think about how to say it. You can focus entirely on what you want to say. So practice it. Practice it often. Whenever somebody asks you a question, think about those 3 or 4 letters in your mind. What's your point? What's your example? What's the reason? And just think about that and just structure your answers in that way. Our third strategy is train your body and train for the game. This is about preparation. Because the reality is, reading a script or preparing for a presentation, that's easy. Real life communication is messy. It's full of curveballs and unexpected moments. The key is to train for the game, just like any athlete would. It's not just the practice. But before you even train your words, you have to train your body. Remember that fight or flight response? You can learn how to manage it. And the simplest way is through a grounding technique called box breathing. And if you practice yoga or have taken a yoga class or Pilates, you probably do this, and it's really simple. First, you inhale for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 4 seconds. You exhale for 4 seconds, and you hold that exhale for 4 seconds. So we can just try this together just to see how it feels. Sometimes it's helpful to put your hands on around by your ribs so you can feel that box. So let's just try it. First, we're going to inhale for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4 seconds. And now we're going to exhale for 4 seconds and hold that exhale for 4 seconds. Repeating this cycle just 2 or 3 times can slow your racing heart and calm your nervous system, pulling you out of that panic state. You can do it silently in a meeting and no one will ever know. Once your body is calm, you can practice your verbal skills under realistic pressure. Reading your notes is one thing. Responding on the fly is definitely another. So here are some things that you can do to help you with that. Ask a trusted colleague to throw surprise questions at you during your meeting prep. Record yourself on your phone answering a tough question in a 60-second hot seat challenge, and watch it back to see where you can improve. Practice responding without notes. The goal isn't perfection. This is live theater, folks. There is no such thing as 100%, but it's about building poise and mental agility. Think about those professional athletes. They don't just read the playbook. They run drills, and they run drills that simulate the chaos and pressure of a real game. That way, when the pressure's on, they don't have to think. They just have to react. They just play the game. It's the same for us. Here are my final thoughts. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall back on our preparation. We embrace the pause, giving ourselves the gift of a moment to think. It signals confidence, not weakness. We use a go-to framework, have a simple structure like point, reason, example, or PREP, ready to go. We train our body and our minds. We use breathing techniques to stay calm and practice under realistic pressure to build mental muscle. So, if you or your team want to delve deeper into this to improve your ability to think on your feet, handle tough moments with poise, and deliver your message with impact, I have a resource for you. It's our hands-on course called Speaking Successfully Under Pressure, Thinking on Your Feet. It is a high-impact workshop designed to help professionals perform at their best when the stakes are high and the spotlight is on. You can learn more at eanestraining.com. And remember, when the pressure's on, your preparation is your superpower. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, keep practicing.
Thank you for tuning in to the Essential Skills for Humaning podcast. We hope you've gained valuable insights to enhance your journey as a human being. Remember, practice makes progress. Keep honing those essential skills, and until next time, keep being the best version of yourself. For more resources, visit eanestraining.com.